Good morning, P1 students. How are you today? Today is Thursday and it's the 23rd of April 2020. How are you today, guys? I hope you are doing well. And thank you so much for doing your homework. And still, teacher is waiting for for others to also do their homework. But good job. All right, so today we are going to name, or you are going to name 10 things that are made of paper. 2 days ago or a few days ago, teacher asked you to write 10 things that are made of wood, 10 things that are made of, what's the other one? I can't remember. Wood and, what was it again? Metal. All right, so for today we are going to name, or you are going to name 10 things that are made of paper, and it's very easy because I already made a video about this. It's just for you to be ready for your task 2 assessment. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the properties of paper. As we all know, the property is what was it again? So we know that a material is made of matter, and matter is anything that that has a shape and a size, right, and a volume. When we say properties, it has these things that makes up the matter. So it is properties. If we're talking about the properties of material, it is the things that are qualities of the material that you are going to distinguish, like how are you going to explain or describe a material? Like a paper, how are you going to describe a paper? For the properties, you are going to distinguish or describe the material by its size, by its color, by its shape, its weight, and sometimes its temperature. So these are the things that you can distinguish or define a property. So if we will talk about paper, so what are the properties of a paper? Okay, so we know that paper can sink. Yes, if you put it in water, it can sink. It can also float. But which one first, float or sink? So imagine this is a water, and then you are making try it at home, and you are making a paper boat. How to draw a boat? Like this, and there is a flag. This is a sailboat. So if you are making a sailboat and put it in the water, at first it floats. It floats. But then once it gets wet, okay, I'm gonna show you what wet is. I know you knew this, but I just want to show you. So this paper is dry. The opposite of wet is dry. So if I'm just gonna cut in half, and then, okay, so this paper is dry, and then if I'm going to put a paper into this water, it will get wet. See, it gets wet. So at first, when you put the paper in the water, it can float for a little bit. But once it gets wet like this, it will sink. It will stay at the bottom of the container, the bottom, right? So it can sink and it can float because that's what its property is made of. Not compared to wood, that wood can always float unless there is a metal attached to it, right? Okay, so again, paper can float for a certain amount of time, maybe seconds or a minute, but then once it gets wet, it will sink. And another property of paper is that paper is light. Paper is not heavy unless you are carrying what? Like all of this. So most of the stuff here is made of paper, right? But if you are carrying a big amount of it, then it's gonna be heavy. But if you will just hold it like this, it's very light. It's not heavy. What else? What other properties when you describe a paper? So some paper are smooth, like this, smooth. But some paper, like if you look on some covers of a book, it's not smooth. It's rough, especially those books that are craft made, like this one. Like this one is a handmade book. So part like the cover, oh no, the cover is cloth, but some just like those cardboard materials, they are rough. Okay, and what else? Paper also is flexible. So when we say flexible, is the ability of a material that can bend, just like if teacher will bend, touch her toes, raise up high, go to the side. That's flexible, meaning you can bend. All right, and paper is not strong. I forgot to write not strong. Why? Not strong because when you put force into it, look, let me check a paper, just like, hold on. So like this, so if I put force into it, it can easily be teared down, meaning I can easily break it, like that. But compared to a plastic, look at this. Cannot. So paper is not very strong. Okay, so flexible, not so hard. So again, when we say hard, it doesn't mean that it's hard, but the hardness of a material is that how can it easily be scratched. So if you scratch a paper and let's say for example paper and plastic. Where's the paper again? Okay, so a paper and a plastic. So which one is hard? A paper or this marker which is made of plastic? So hardness is when you scrub. If you scrub it for a long time, if you scratch it, it is the paper that will get scratched, have lines in it, because hardness is like how things or a material easily get scratched. All right, so for your homework today is that you are going, same thing as the previous homework, you have two choices again. Teacher is so nice, right? I don't have an eraser, so I'm just gonna use my pens. I cut this one. Okay. All right, so for your assignment again, you're going to write how many things that are made of paper? 10. So 10 things made of paper. So choices number 1, you can just write down examples like paper, what else? What were the other ones? Colored paper, bond paper, so you can just write that. Or you can make, this one is a challenge. When you write the sentence, it's more likely a challenge because I want you to practice So paper, so we say a paper is made of paper, right? It sounds funny. A paper is made of paper. Paper is light. It can float and also can sink and sink like that. And then you can add more. So paper is not so hard. And then after that, for number 2, you can just change paper into another one, a receipt. Remember a receipt? A receipt is a paper, a type of paper that when you go to a store, after you pay the cashier, they will give you the receipt. That it will tell you like what are the things you bought, how much is it, the prices of each item, how many did you buy for a certain item, like that. So you can just change it and practice writing. So you can describe a receipt is a material made of paper. It is light. It is smooth. It is flexible, like that. Okay, it's very easy, right? So again, you have 2 choices. First, you can just write 10 examples of paper, or the number 2 challenge is that you will write sentences about it to practice its properties. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. That would be all for today, and I hope to see you next time. And thank you so much for doing all your homework. Good job, everyone.